Hi all, this is a video response to Majnu's video on getting the most out of engines in post-mortem analysis. Majnu's video is very good because often we look at analysis and just take the moves at face value just for that particular position. Now the reason I choose this Nimzowitsch game to present some points in relation to that video is because he was the author of an influential book called My System. Here he is in 1926 playing against Alexander Alekhine, who became a chess world champion. So as white he played a kind of fianchetto system with an advanced pawn here on e5, which Alekhine later undermined and gained quite a bit of counterplay, probably more counterplay than Nimzowitsch had reckoned on. So Nimzowitsch played very aggressively in this game with g4, so he's going for a kind of hack attack. Alekhine undermines that e5 point, and after e takes f6, Alekhine recaptured with the pawn, which may be a little controversial, weakening the king a little bit. Maybe bishop takes f6 was to be considered. But anyway, Nimzowitsch continued with knight g3, so potentially these knights are getting into quite dangerous attacking positions. However, Alekhine really knows how to defend and even sacrificed the pawn soon. After queen e2 he increased his pressure on the dark squares, first with bishop d6, and white awkwardly has to defend the f4 pawn, and now knight ce7, so perhaps black is preparing f5. Nimzowitsch was not concerned though. He played bishop d2, but black increased that pressure on the f4 pawn. So here white had to defend again with queen f2, which is a little bit passive. And here Alekhine, he continued his queenside attack now, so he's developing some quite dangerous counterplay with c4. And after d takes c4, he weakens white's dark squares now with knight e3, a positional pawn sacrifice which couldn't be accepted, because if queen takes c3 then bishop c5, skewering the queen and king. So Nimzowitsch played queen f3, and after queen takes c4, black's got a lot of counterplay, and my analytical assistant actually thinks black's slightly better here. Nimzowitsch is not put off though. He plays knight e4, and after bishop c7 plays b3, preparing to sack the c2 pawn if necessary. Alekhine plays though queen d4, and after c3 the queen goes back to b6. Now Nimzowitsch has still got a kind of attack going, but first he secures his king position a bit and also makes it possible perhaps for rook g1 later. After knight d5 he plays f5, gaining more space on the king side, but it does give Alekhine the f4 square, which he now puts his knight onto. After rook fd1, black now tries to make his king safer with king h8, with the potential perhaps of rook g8. And after bishop f1, we see now black trying to open up the position with e takes f5, and after g takes f5, securing the f6 pawn with bishop e5. So it looks as though black's slightly better. After rook e1, bishop d7, white snapped up that pawn on e3, but now Alekhine played bishop c6 with a lot of pressure on white's e4 now, starting to build up. So Alekhine plays knight d5, and after rook d3, this pressure is looking extremely dangerous. Alekhine now played knight takes c3, so you've got this horrible pin of this knight on this diagonal. Potentially black's got rook g8, and also this knight's now attacking on e4. Now it's here, at this moment, that my analytical assistant has no clue of Nimzowitsch's next move. And the reason is that there's a quiet killer move in this combination after just giving up a piece, which is quite startling. Even at depth 11 now, Rybka has no clue of this combination and its power. It's only when you force it to play the move that Nimzowitsch played. So I'll give you 5 seconds to see if you can spot it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nimzowitsch played knight g6 check, and it opens up the H file. It's a very clever way of opening up the H file, but not for immediate exploitation. The quiet killer move now is played, which is now Queen G4. So the rook can now come to the H3 square. And now black is getting into difficulties. After rook F7, which is what is played, evaluation shifts now. Rook thinks white's clearly better in this position. After rook H3 check, king G7, there's a number of pleasant alternatives for white. Most notably, queen takes G6 check immediately, but Nimzovich's move is also quite strong. Bishop C4, taking away some escape squares for the black king. So we're in the middle of an absolutely brilliant combination, made more brilliant by this immense pressure on this diagonal, and this giving up of a piece temporarily just to play a quite killer move, Queen G4. It's just completely unestimatable by engines from that earlier position. After Queen takes G6, that would have been dangerous, but Nimzowitsch played F takes G6 here, and maybe that was an incorrect move actually. Let's have a quick look at Queen takes G6. Say King F8, and now here Bishop takes D5, Knight takes D5, Rook H8, King E7, Rook takes A8 may have been sufficient. The way Nimzowitsch played it was FG6, and Alekhine played Knight takes E4, which maybe was a blunder. Perhaps here there's a stronger move, but at depth 8 Rivka is also saying that this looks completely lost as well. So either FG or Queen takes G6 looks good now. Knight takes E4 was played, and after G takes F7, King F8, white now played Rook takes E4, solving this diagonal problem. After Bishop E4, Queen E4, King E7, white is one pawn up, but the opposite coloured bishops still give him a raving attack and very dangerous position. It's like being a bishop up because of the light squares. So he gives up that pawn with F8 check, and now Queen D5 with menacing threats of say Rook H7 check. After Queen D6, Queen takes B7 check, and now Rook D3 skewering the Queen against the King. And after Bishop D4, the Queen comes back to E4, and black is defenceless now. After Rook E8, Rook takes D4, Alekhine resigned. So this shows, in conclusion and summary, that Nimzowitsch, who is the author of the influential book My System, was also capable of playing brilliant tactics which are almost beyond the horizon of engines, even at like depth 10. So even looking at millions of positions, the high level understanding of Nimzowitsch wasn't just confined to his positional understanding of pawn chain, blockades, dark squares, but it went further than that. He was also a master of king safety. So there's a lot of things which, from a specific detailed engine investigation after a game, which you might never be able to pick up from engines, and this game just demonstrates the tactical prowess of Nimzowitsch. So I thought it was quite a relevant video to sort of put as a video response to Majnu's video. So we see here the crushing attack because of the opposite coloured bishops makes the attack even more ferocious. I hope you enjoyed that game and may consider buying Nimzovich's My System to have a look to see what all the fuss is about. Thanks very much and see you on YouTube.